accountable to the people of Kenya. To the Police High Command, the Inspector General, who also tendered his resignation, I want to urge him to take Kenyans to all the graves where the bodies are hidden. It is time for accountability. Thank you, dear Kenyans. Good.
That is going to be the speech you are going to give to some of the criminal politicians that are going to run to you and say, we support you. We support you. Don't support them. Give up all you have stolen. All, not just some, everything, including the government properties that you have all sold to yourselves as scraps. So again, those demands are enough for everyone to see where you belong. Everything in this list, number 1 to 5, I have a connection to this. When you see number 1, I am connected to that. Number 2, I don't give a toss about that because it's talking about Nigeria, so I don't give a damn about that. But if number 1 happens, right, definitely there is now a chance that I will care more about where I come from, as it should be. Then you see number 3, I don't give a really toss about that, but I kind of support it. Why? Because as long as Nigeria still exists, right, this is the problem. The people are intentionally made poor. That's that, right? Then number 4, I am very much connected to that. Anything that invests in education, indeed, with the level of poverty, it still remains the only ladder that you can actually use to climb out of poverty. Education, so important. You see this number 5. I am so much invested in that. And this is why when the whole thing kicks off, I am going to be getting involved. I will be getting involved. You see others here now, all these ones, they are just like Atamo that has to do with Nigeria. So I don't really have much about them. But you see this 1 to 5, it is mostly about humanity, human rights, and the respect for it, right? So that is enough to attract me to it and say, I am going to be involved. And indeed, if the whole thing lasted more than 2 days, I will join the global mobilization for it and make it what we all want it to be. I mean, you should know what I'm saying, right? Or we cannot shave anybody's head in their absence. The people that have become the victims of the consequences of unaccountability of these rogues, they are direct victims. You have to show that you are tired. You don't want them anymore. And we will see that the moment the spark is up. As for the Abobakus, no wahala. If you last longer, it will be because the people themselves are too afraid to take you on, but they will still do it. Your days will always be numbered. The days of all these your criminals will be numbered. It's actually numbered. And sometimes if you know when it's going to come, you probably you will miss the surprise. Sometimes the surprise will be what will kill some of these cold-hearted criminals. The surprise. Is this really happening in Nigeria? It's happening. It's happening. Pack whatever you can pack. We need to leave Nigeria now. It's happening. They are coming for us. Because it's coming. It will happen. So if you know when it's going to happen, then what is the essence of surprise then? Like, the surprise is going to be part of the package that a lot of you will leave to talk about. But just give it time. So for those of you who are there already working towards how to take these rogues on, but you do have us. Because listen, that video I just clicked there is from the University of Ibadan this morning, where the students took a protest to the office of the VC, asking him to reduce the school fees. What happened to the student loan? Yeah, Tinubu removed subsidy on education, in case if you don't know, and then promised you student loan, not grants, loan. And they've been playing you. They've announced student loan since July or so last year, and they removed the subsidy a week after that. Now it's been a whole year now since they announced the student loan. And guess what? You are just reading about it the same way I'm reading about it online. And I mean, where they are telling you, oh, we have designated these banks. Oh, we have designated these schools. What do you mean designated these schools? Is it not all about Nigerian students? No, not all of them for now. Kilude. So some of them are already looking at dropping out of schools in Ibadan. Some are already dropping out of their university or whatever right now. They can't pay. They can't access any student loan. It is not just the subsidy they removed, just so you remember. They removed subsidy, not just subsidy on petrol, they removed subsidy on education too. If no more remove subsidy on education, then promise them something that they will never get. Student loan. In Ibadan, they were asking their VC to reduce the school fees. How? He can't.
I don't know where this guy is. Oh.
Lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ làwo fún wọn. Lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ làwo fún wọn. Education táwa sanwó fún. Lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ làwo fún wọn. And that simply or loosely translated as the same education that they are forcing us to pay for. They got the same education for free. That's what the song is. Lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ làwo fún. Yet, they are calling for the national protest. You, a student who is about to lose his or education, not that you are guaranteed of a job, even if you have the education, right? But yet, when they call for national protest against these rogues, that is when you will remember you are Yoruba, or you will remember that you are Igbo, or you are Hausa, or you are Fulani, or you are this or that, or whatever card they deal you. You are a Nigerian worker. They have increased, inflation in Nigeria has increased to over 400%, especially on food, almost on everything. But you that is a worker in Nigeria, when they talk about the national protest against these rogues and this madness, that is when you will remember that you are a Christian, you are a Muslim. You are not supposed to do that. You are supposed to go and pray. You know? So we shall see how this plays out. In Edo State, I don't know if some of you still remember the wahala between Obaseki and Shaibu, his deputy, who wanted to succeed him, but Obaseki didn't want him to succeed him. Then Obaseki Obaseki started, undermining him, like treating him condescendingly, removed his office from the governor's, the governor's office area, moved him to one outskirts ministry, a dilapidated building like that. He was so humiliated. At a point, they also went to his house to demolish a building, an outpost that he built for his own security and all that. They did a lot to him. And all of this was simply because Obaseki, according to him, Shaibu, or Ian Obaseki, when they were fighting their godfather, he stood by Obaseki because the agreement was that they will never allow any godfatherism again in Edo State. So, and as a good team, right, it could continue, but we don't know what went wrong between them. It got so bad, Obaseki started plotting to remove him because it took PDP to court over the primaries that produced Aswe. They removed him, impeached him, appointed another deputy. Today, the court has said that it was all illegal after all. Shaibu has been returned as the deputy governor of Edo State. The deputy governor, Badimeji Erumbakon. Who is the deputy governor of Edo State, guys?
Congratulations.
First, the people of Edo State for their patience and belief in the rule of law and committing this process of law. Indeed, democracy is the only hope for the survival of this nation. And this judgment has demonstrated the efficacy and the gains of believing in democracy. We thank the court and we thank particularly the person of the Deputy Governor of Edo State, His Excellency, Comrade Philip Shaibu, for trusting in the judiciary. Thank you very much.
Just one question. One more question now. So wait, just one question. Okay. Your Excellency, sir, how do you react to this judgment? It has been straight to the opposition as...
Let me ask you again. For one other case, that you have two judgments.
Let him say something.
You instead of your position as deputy governor, how do you react? And did the court make any consequential order as to your benefits as a deputy governor, why this proceeding had gone on? So, I'd like to hear from you, sir.
I think that's a bit from a lawyer to talk about the case. For me, I want to thank the judiciary. I want to thank Justice Omotosho for his courage, and he has restored confidence that truly the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. And as a common person, justice has been done. And now we thank Edo people and Nigerians. Everywhere I went throughout this process, everybody I see, they tell me we are praying for you. I want to tell Edo people and Nigerians that have been praying for me that God has answered our prayer. So I dedicate this to God and trust God. This justice, this judgment today, as we have found the foundation of democracy in Nigeria, and it has also sent a message to anti-democratic forces that their time is coming to an end. Democracy will survive in Nigeria.
So, Martinelli, who is your deputy governor now? But while we are here, just in. Tinubu writes to the Senate to to increase 2024 budget by 6.2 trillion. Remember that the budget they passed was 28 trillion, 28.5 trillion. Abi, inside that 28.5 trillion, there is a verified 3.5 trillion padded fake projects. If Tinubu don't write them, say they increase them to 34.7 trillion naira. Ebe ku to bango gen. Ó di gen. Shege yi ma di gen. We talk about the other was when the bedu enter body. Eba enter body. Enter body. When this shege enter body, they don't go beg you to hit the streets. Nobody go beg you. When Tinubu is done, lakuli. Some of you that will be alive to witness it, una go write it in your history or your memory or your memo or whatever. Your children will read what your eyes see on that Tinubu. Just give it time. You see, the problem with Nigeria right now, especially the inflation in Nigeria, is caused by the monetization or industrialization of terrorism in Nigeria. Industrialization of terrorism in Nigeria simply means that you can make it look like we are fighting terrorism. Meanwhile, it's just a front. It is an industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry that they are milking the country's resources just straight into private pockets. Nobody really wants to probe what is spent on security for the sake of national security. And because of these farmers, thousands of them have been killed. Oh my dear God. See, millions of hectares of farms have been destroyed. And the result of that, hunger, high cost of living, high cost of food for people that can grow their food. The Fulanis don't grow food. They don't have farms. But they've destroyed millions of hectares of land, of farms in Nigeria in the last 9 years. Unstoppable, eh? They have their own army too. So unfortunate. Now, this terrorism in Nigeria, which was limited to the northeast of Nigeria, Borno and the area, environ, in 2014, 2015, became industrialized in Nigeria, that the entire 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria have been suffering endlessly. This unprovoked, organized terrorism against them. In the eastern part, well, in the southern part of Nigeria, we have suffered greatly too. But where people have managed to stand up enough to kind of like push back and able to go back to their farms, they've come back to show to us that, you see, that myth of the northern Nigeria feeding the rest of Nigeria is one of those dangerous myths that today we wouldn't have known that some of these attacks were coordinated enough to make the rest of Nigeria just like they intended to make the northern Nigeria, or they have made the northern Nigeria. In the eastern part of Nigeria, where they had their chance, there's something called the Unsuka tomato. It made it to my platform this morning, and I said, imagine the benefits of having a peaceful place where you could grow your own food. There's land everywhere. Insecurity makes it impossible for you to go and cultivate them. There are those still doing it, but with the level of hunger in Nigeria, there should be a large-scale farming everywhere. But there can't be because of the Fulani terrorists in Nsukka. Meanwhile, in Nigeria right now, a big basket of tomato is sold for over 150,000 naira. Ridiculous, Abi. Where they had a little piece that they could actually grow their own tomato. Now, the same basket is now going for under 80,000 naira. In Unsuka, it's called Unsuka tomato. I think you should see it.
Unsuka tomato.
Because they were grown in eastern part of Nigeria en masse.
Unsuka tomato. Wow, Unsuka is doing well. It's hey, Igbo land is productive. Wow. Wow. That's still offloading. This is Suka from Igbo land. They're doing well. Wow. That's good. Toronto is gradually reducing. But then Cameroon is still expensive anyway. Wow. This is from Sukaland. Suka tomato. Wow.
It is still expensive, of course. Now, the problem is now going to be preservation to avoid or reduce wastes. Okay? Now, you see the waste or the loss they have to suffer, which actually makes the price even more like out of this world, right? Is when they have to drive, 600-700 kilometers from northern Nigeria to the southern part of Nigeria, then transporting them again to the eastern Nigeria like that, right? So after the fact that majority of them, some of them would have been like, smashed, broken, or rotten, right? So you need preservation. You need security for these people. People can grow their own food. They can go into vegetables. They can grow different kind of vegetables, right? Whereby you see this, if security is there and the consistency in this large scale of farming can cut down inflation in Nigeria by half. Just doing that alone. And guess what? If we can manage that for 2-year stride, that is no break, right? People will feed themselves. You can begin to build industries around all these things. Okay? There are tomato paste industries everywhere, factories everywhere, I believe. So you don't have to kind of be like depend on the northern Nigeria bringing you food. People, I grew up growing our food. I didn't know when it became a thing that they would say the northern Nigeria is feeding the southern Nigeria. I didn't grow up that way. I grew up on the farm. I grew up in a town whereby everything that is sold in our markets are all from our farm. We're not all. Then when we will see those who bring other things from other places, then you see the Hausas, they bring their beans, they bring this or that. But guess what? We all have our own too. We had our own. But today, it is a different story. So if you want to help them, if the government want to help them in any way, please provide security, and then you can see what people can do. I've had people who have said that, all of that you have seen there, Mayegun, please do not say them without giving credit to those who put their lives on the line. The ESN, right there in their own, in their forest, they barely receive any thanks or praise or even acknowledgement for what they do, except when the Nigerian media want to tell you about unknown gunmen and they will link them to the ESN. They say, well, I know that, and I do apologize I didn't put that up when I put it on Mayegun's diary political earlier. Since I'm going to still talk about it like I am doing right now, it's a deal to mention that, and to everybody responsible for the safety of those farmers that were able to grow that. And if you can keep it that way, right, you will be cutting down inflation in the eastern part of Nigeria. And the same thing in this, in the southern part of Nigeria generally. They imported terrorism to our regions. They were not ours. They were imported. They want to force them on us. They've used all manners of technique. They've told so many lies. For example, the eastern part of Nigeria is landlocked. No, it's not. There is nothing really grows in the eastern part of Nigeria. Who told you that? I've never heard that in my life. When I was growing up, right? We had this Bedford trailers, Mercedes trailers. We call them Aganambu. They are always coming from the eastern part of Nigeria, bringing in vegetables, fruits, oranges, bananas, plantains, different carrots. They are bringing all these things from eastern, including yam. So now that their propaganda has made you feel like, you know, the eastern part of Nigeria can't live on their own, by the people that have been the leeches on Nigeria, the northern Nigeria, Sharia North to be precise. The Sharia North that has been living off Nigeria, that cannot do, a parasite that cannot do without its host. So they continue to repeat that same propaganda and lie. And a lot of people bought that. And I'm like, when did this world change to all of this? I remember a decade is a long time. APC, Egbekegbe, has been in your life for nearly a decade. Now, for a decade, in fact, they were launched since 2014. This is their 10th year. Abi? Now, see this APC, Egbekegbe, and what they represented.